So if the solution meets the customer's priority one requirements at least, right? And then budget is in line, right? What makes the customer finally decide to go with the platform versus the best of breed that they may already have, or the best of breed that they're looking at solution-wise?
If you are going to pick a platform, especially for the majority of your security, like you said, the priority one is one thing I would, I'm sure customers are thinking about. One thing I would, as a VAR and a trusted advisor, say that think about um, is not just what it's going to solve for right now, and is it going to hit all their major pain points, but is it going to solve for in 3 years? And then, of course, there's the cost aspect to it, right? And that's where that contract, where we're brought in as advisor, where the OEM might not always guide you in the right way, because one thing a lot of customers fear is, am I locked into this vendor? So there's a security risk there from, I mean, look what happened with a very major, endpoint company a year ago. What happens if something happens internally with them and your whole security stack is based off this platform? Then there's also the cost of it. If they have everything that you own, or majority of you own, how do you control that cost whenever your renewal comes up? As far as preventing any type of, as far as preventing any, security incidents from the OEM, that's where you've got to have it within the language, that if something like that happens, they're going to be liable for that. The other one where we come in is going to be writing in language, whether it be price locks as far as purchasing within that term, if there are any roadmap items that have been promised, but really when you do come up for renewal is a not to exceed language. A lot of times you're going to see from an OEM that's not going to be volunteered up, and you've got to make that part of the initial negotiations. We see customers that have not to exceed renewal by 3 or 5%. And I'm not talking about of MSRP,
Right.
but of the current contract. And the customers who have trusted us, we've got one coming up this year that, by industry standards, probably should be about a 10 to 15% cost increase. But because we originally jumped in, encouraged them to have an actual contract not to exceed language, that contract's only going to exceed by 3%.
These are great details of the value that we add, of not just being the guy that does the transaction, right? Every one of these vendors and OEMs, they have a job to do. They sell wonderful technology. They all have business plans from the top down, and their job is to sell their solution as the solution that's going to make you more secure. And they all compete, right? And so, there's this weird thing a lot of times with customers that they feel like that the vendor direct is the way to go because you're going to get the most information, because who knows more about their product than they do. But when you get into the financial and budget world, this is where the clarity really comes in, because structuring the deal, how do you know that the deal you're getting is just as good as your industry vertical peer? If I'm A bank, versus B bank, how do you know that you're getting a good deal? You're trusting that the vendor's going to structure that for you, and you're trusting that your procurement people can negotiate. Those are going to happen regardless. But what we do in the middle of that is we get with customers and we help them structure that deal. We help them negotiate, not against the vendor, but we want to make sure it's a level set and it's a good transaction for everybody.